Hello. We just wanted to stop in real quick at the top of this episode and give y'all a little disclaimer about the quality. We've been trying to up the production value of these, and we ended up biting off a little more than we could chew, apparently. Unfortunately, this happens on the episode that we bring in a guest for the first time. One of my closest friends, Nathan Young. We were thrilled to have him on. Obviously, we're still posting the episode, but just be aware that some things could be a little quiet, some things might jump out at you a little bit. We've riddled this bad boy with compression and an AI enhancement tool that helps level things out a little bit, and it works for the most part, but every now and then, it kind of sounds like we're speaking Simlish or something like that. I don't know. Hopefully that's as minimal as possible, but we hope you enjoy. Thanks for hanging in there with us.
Have we met?
We're rolling. As long as it's recording, we're fine. It's episode 5. It's never perfect. It's okay. All right. Well, we are finally joined by a guest today. The one, the only, Nathan Young. Is a friend and colleague to some degree. For most of you that don't know, we in Hello Carolina have a slew of music videos at this point. One of which, the first of which, was filmed, directed, produced by none other than this man right here.
Oh, yeah.
And
Looks amazing, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that was the first time that we ever really got to work with you, like at a semi-professional capacity like that. Now,
Definitely, yeah. We had like a full crew for that shoot. It was a good time.
yeah, that was the video for "She's Coming." We got to go have a day at the roller rink with all the homies and had a bunch of people come out from Hickory, the general community and whatnot. And that was really what kicked off the whole Hello Carolina experience for all of us as a whole, and in a really strong way. And I think like the strength of the project as a whole was really propelled by that video and how good that video ended up being. So like, I do not want to short sell you on this. Like, I do
Thanks.
the level of dedication you gave to that first video is really a huge factor in what pushed us forward. Not that we're like fucking famous or anything now or anything, but like all of the momentum that we had moving forward after that, I think was a big part in how well that video shoot turned out. So I guess let's just start off with a big thank you.
Well,
It was an excellent video released.
Also, I have to give flowers to you guys as well, because like I had absolutely no resume for that. I've never done a music video before that. I watched YouTube videos on how it's done, and kind of got an idea of the process, and I think that it did work out well. We had a lot of people working with us that made it possible. It was completely impossible without, like you guys handled like the choreography aspect, like getting all the outfits and stuff like that. We didn't have like a huge like team. Like when I say we had help on it, I meant like all of us pulled together our resources. We had Tomblin, and I think we had Bobby come help us, and he did some lights and stuff. And, it was just really kind of a community effort to make that video happen. And we had the Appalachian Roller Girls came down and helped us shoot that. That was really sick. So we got some good talent in there.
They were the only, like, I feel like majorly skilled roller skaters that could really scrounge up at the time. Like, there was a bunch of kids that came out, and like, those kids were a lot better than what I could put down on the rink. But yeah, it was good to actually have some professionality with the skills aspect of everything in that video. So I remember, I don't remember her name, but there was one of the ladies from that group in particular that was like, I know she's on TikTok a lot. What's the name?
I think it's PYT is her name, or Pretty Young Thing is what her like derby name is. She's like very well known. She's like doing all this really high level technical skating and choreography with it. So
there was a few close ups, and just like watching people do stuff like that is mind blowing to me, because like I can't roller skate. Like I can't do it at all, like whatsoever. It's just not gonna happen for. And like I always knock that off till I go, I'm a bigger person and stuff like that, and that's just not gonna work. But then like you see all these other people that are out there,
right? Yeah, I'm not coordinated enough for that at all.
But, I do feel like you're burying the lead a little bit though, because I know you've had more experience before that with videography and stuff. Obviously, you work professionally in the field. I know that that's maybe not as rewarding as other projects and stuff, once it becomes a day job and you start working in a mundane fashion with these artistic pathways and whatnot, things can become a little soulless, I guess.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's got to be some takeaway from all that stuff that you can apply to these more creative passion projects and stuff like that. Or do you feel like working in the professional manner that you do, like, is it more of just like get through the project, or do you still find yourself like implementing your own creative process into like, whether it's duct tape or whatever it is, HVAC in general?
Yeah. So for people who might not be aware, like most of my work in my job is business to business, like manufacturing is kind of what we're covering, and like HR training type stuff, commercial work. So, in that vein, there's really not a lot of creative freedom. There's large teams. There's people who've wrote scripts and they have plans, and there's visual branding and things that are like kind of, they tie me up to where I can't really get out of my box and use my brain in the way that I want to. So when I get opportunities like your project, like Hello Carolina's project, it gives me like this weird opportunity where I can say, if left to my own devices, what am I going to do? And after having years of all the technical skill of how to make someone else's vision come true, when you get a chance to like execute your own vision, I'm sure you guys do it with music all the time. It's just like you make stuff for other people, and that's fun, but it's not necessarily giving you that what you want from what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like,
I think Conrad could probably speak to this a little bit more than I could, but like as far as working professionally with music and stuff, like I've never really done that. Everything I've ever made has been for myself, and like there have been times where I've aspired to, make beats, put them up on BeatStars, whatever, for rappers and stuff like that. But like I always find myself like getting to the end of the beat and being like, I think I want to keep you. And like I'm very possessive over that kind of thing. So like, I don't know, just using a creative avenue like videography, making music, whatever it is, like, and attaching that to a workplace or professionality or whatever, like it seems like something I would like to do. Like it sounds like on paper seems like a really good thing to work in music for a living, whether that's your own music or someone else's. Like, is that better than my factory job? Yeah, but also like I feel like I worry anyway that when I detach the music from myself, like that it becomes lesser for other people. Like I'm not going to put in the same, like not intentionally, but like
right.
I'm not applying myself fully like creatively or anything like that to what I know is going to go out the door. And that's why I ultimately don't upload anything. So I guess like the point being, like when you're working professionally in it, like do you find yourself more applying your creativity to your job, or do you find the technical things from your job being applied to the creative side more? Like where is the give, where is the take?
It's definitely the second. It's the technical helps me with the creative outside, if anything, because I just don't really get to bring any creative into my work, and that is just because the teams are so large that on a call sheet, like for a shoot, if I'm showing up to a shoot and it's got I think that it's easy, like when we see like how a Hello Carolina shoot works, that is, I come in, I call all the shots, and you guys see me in a capacity where it's like, he knows what to do with lighting, he knows what to do with these things, and I do know that, but that's because when I'm on shoots with other professionals, when I've got, lighting grips and people who are setting up everything for me, I'm watching what they're doing, I'm seeing the things that they do in a professional capacity, and that helps me. But yeah, I'm taking that stuff from work and really pouring that into my other stuff. But then to your point with wondering, is the factory job better than doing something in music? I'm also, an introvert, and I have, a young child right now, and I'm almost out of energy all the time. So then to think of, that's why we're in the exact situation where we are too, as well, where I'm like, we shot this music video for your band, for the rock band, that was in the winter, and I cannot complete it because I'm so like drained all the time from work and staying late. It just, I would not jump to recommend to someone, if you're passionate about something that you do, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to immediately start working in that field. Like if you can, or it doesn't mean that you have to accomplish what you need to accomplish through a work or traditional means. Like I'm way more likely to use that video that I've made with you guys as a portfolio piece than I am most of the things that I make at work, depending on the type of job that I'm going for.
Yeah, I've said this a lot over the years, and especially even more so now in recording. I started doing that out of almost a necessity. There was like no recording places to go record locally that we could afford when we were 15, 16 years old. I'm like, I can do this. And I'm like way overly ambitious about something. And of course it sounds like shit, but after that, I'm like, I can do better at this and do better at this. And it just gets better and better and better. But the point being, when I'm actually, to do this every day, all day long as a living, the thrill would be gone in it. And as the late and great B.B. King would say, and I still look at that every day and say, I'm so glad I don't do it for a living because I still love to do it. But if I had to do it every day, all day long, I would kind of like it, but I wouldn't love it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's the distinction in having a hobby and a career that, and when you can have a career that you like to do, but you don't have to love your career, but have a hobby that you love and don't make it something that you kind of loathe when you have to overwhelm yourself with it.
Right.
So
I agree with that.
Yeah. So as far as like the projects that are outside of your workplace and stuff like that, I know you've been involved in several smaller scale projects. Several years back, we did quad noms.
Oh yeah,
3 or 4 episodes of that.
that was really fun.
Yeah, that was a really fun concept. That's as far as I remember, that was something that you fully baked and brought to us, and myself, Kelso, and Cams.
Yeah.
We were all a part of that. And for those that don't know, that's still on YouTube. Quad Noms. It was 4 of us. We sat at a table. We ate, ice cubes.
Which you would think was not interesting at all.
It was kind of like parody ASMR to some degree, I guess.
It was definitely like coming about during that phase where it was like Hot Ones was like exploding, and so there was like this food thing, we're thinking, and then mukbang was like a big thing, and like all these trends, and like I'm on Twitch, so I'm seeing all of these things happening all the time. And I was streaming at the time, so the things that were influencing me were just way different then. So
you spent 2-3 years on Twitch as a streamer?
Yeah, I think 2 solid years of doing it.
For when I first met you, I think you were like just starting out sort of in streaming, which honestly, this is kind of off the wall, but you're one of the rare people in my life. And by rare, perhaps unique, in the fact that you are someone that I met in my late 20s, mid to late 20s, and like you are one of my closest friends, and that's like very rare.
Yeah,
the fact that like you don't meet many people like that. Conrad's almost the same way with me. Like I met you a little bit earlier, but that was like early 20s, like maybe 18, 19. I can't remember when we first came to record all the Mile 257 stuff.
I think you guys are right out of high school, just right out.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And there was a different guy. He worked at Dante's too. I don't remember his name. He played.
Oh, Dave. Dave. Yeah. Yep. He was with us at the time. But like to go back to what you were saying earlier about starting the studio and kind of being the only one around here at the time, like I think what speaks to that heavily is the fact that I remember when it was I think a couple years before I ever met you, but I remember hearing about this big shot producer that was in Bethlehem who had an MTV at his house to film. What was it? Made? Is that the name of the? Yeah, yeah.
Seriously? Tell me everything. Tell me everything.
Covered this and all. Yeah, I had not talked about it.
Well, I have to hear everything.
I had never seen high production film like that in my life. They basically, the way MTV made work was they found schools that would cooperate with film crews that were on board with it, very open. And it just so happened that Freedom, it's in Morganton, North Carolina, for those that aren't sure, was very receptive with it. They did, I think, 2 or 3 made episodes with kids just from that school, and that was their hub center to like kind of edit and do all the post-production stuff there. And one of the guys wanted to be a ladies' man. I never saw that episode, but like, if you're not familiar with how Made works, it's like they're a coach. You get assigned a coach who's like a pro in that field, and they coach high school kids or younger teenagers how to be what they want to be in that field. So Abby was her name. She had some sort of disability. I don't remember specifically. She was wheelchair bound. She wanted to be a rapper. So he's in New York. He wasn't like major mainstream, but the rapper's name was Torre. I don't know if any of y'all have heard of him, but he was a kind of a big shot. You know, he came in and so I just got a call one summer. It's like, we have this is so and so from MTV. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. First, her name was Andrea. I'll never forget. Her name was Andrea, and she said, "I'm calling from New York, the headquarters of MTV. I'm calling on behalf of MTV Made. We've done some research and trying to find the closest studio to where we have our next subject. And we found your studio and love to know if you would cooperate with us and let us use your studio as a setting."
Right. Well, let me stop you there.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Like, how old were you at the time?
I want to say early 20s, like 23.
So your assessment of the market was astute. There is literally nothing. You killed it.
Wild that like you have MTV with all of the, maybe not connections, but all the resources and manpower that they have to find whatever they need. And they come to Alexander County, North Carolina, and they're like, all right, well, there's this one guy that has a studio in his parents' basement at the time, and that's the best that they can do for that. And that, my point being, is just like, it is an uphill battle to be in music in this area. There is nothing here. Musicians, skate while you can.
Yeah, and I'll also say like they came to the agreement to say that we're going to use your studio scene as long as we have to use it, and we're not paying you anything for it. So that was how.
Well, it seems like you had some leverage at that point. Like you're like, well, I'm the only studio in the area, don't you know?
Yeah, I think there were a few others they probably could have gone to, but at that time I was just like, you know what? If it's going to be on MTV and they're going to promote me, then I'm sure. Yeah.
They spent that angle as much as they could too, is just like, oh, this is going to be great for your exposure, for your small business. And
oh yeah, we've all heard that.
To that point, I mean, I just got done saying that I'd heard about this big shot producer for. So I mean, I guess there was something to it. Which that's not why I ended up here. I mean, I piggybacked off of them knowing you at the time. I think I don't know how Kelso and all them got up with you at all those years ago, but
yeah, I mean, but even then, like, I was still learning so much. Like, I was still a sponge to try to be better, and not to say by any means I'm pro level recording now, but I'm better than I was then. And like, but either way, it was a good learning experience. I got like 2 or 3 seconds of fame on MTV. Said, "Welcome to Figure Media," and they opened the door, and I was on there for like 2 seconds, and it's like a 40-minute long episode. So,
yeah. I mean, but to that point, like with, learning as far as where you were at then and where you're at now, like I feel like video and audio is probably this very similarly related in this aspect. Is that just with all of the technology coming out, all of the AI tools, all of the shit, like, does it feel like you're just constantly at kind of ground level with what comes next as far as your processes and stuff, as far as the tools you can use and all that kind of stuff? Like, I don't know, like, you hear about doctors and lawyers like every month or every year or whatever, they have to go like learn a whole new set of shit that is based around their job. And like, is audio and video production like almost in that same area now where it's just like every year you kind of just got to wipe the board clean and see where it's at? Like,
I want you to go first because I actually, in my notebook here, because I have to organize my thoughts because I'm ADD. But one of the questions I have for you, with you doing the work that I know that you do, how are AI tools affecting like audio production?
Audio production, not as much. Visual aid, like graphically, because is maybe our listeners may not know, my day job is graphic design. Technically, I'm a UX designer, but I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole to explain like technically what that means. But I'm a graphic designer for web apps. But it has taken over our day-to-day operation. Luckily, my boss is super huge proponent for AI, super supportive. He basically said, if you're not using AI to streamline your work, then we need to find somebody else to do your job, because it's like those mindless tasks to help you sort of crank through the monotony so you can get to like the stuff that really matters, that what makes humans great, and that's be creative and come up with things. And I mean, and AI can help you get there too, right? But I guess the TLDR on this is it hasn't changed the audio world yet. Now, there is one thing that I could get into. It's a whole can of worms about just plugging something in and saying, hey, write me a song.
Yeah.
It be this whole production of something, and they've done nothing to contribute to it. I have a problem with that. But there is this thing like that I want to happen, and it's in the horizon where it's like, okay, I've done this. I played it on guitar. Make it sound like a saxophone.
right, more
And
modulation.
It's revoicing. And when that happens, it's going to change music like so much. So, but it's not there yet. It's close. And there are tools, but it's still half baked.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I know that in like Fruity Loops, you can take like the MIDI tracking of all of anything that you make, you know, whether it's drums, synth, guitar, whatever. You can take that MIDI and you can apply it to other sounds and stuff like that. So like you can already kind of manually do that as far as like the modulation to different noises and whatnot. But yeah, the AI smoothing of it all, I guess, is where it's going to be really clutch. And like, you know, this inflection on a guitar, that's going to be a different inflection on a fucking tuba, you know? So like, how does that translate? And I mean, that almost feels too human to me for like AI to really parse out, because you're talking about like, you know, the way that you would power on a guitar is not going to be the same way that you transition notes on brass shit, you know? So like,
there's got to be some like minutia to it, you know, that it's like finicky that might not translate, and that may always be the case.
I think that like what I'm noticing in my job, because AI is obviously affecting my job a lot too. I think a lot of like my thoughts on AI are that, you know, right now we're dealing with AI that is basically ingesting the internet. It's ingesting everything else. And, you know, I've been using a ChatGPT account for, you know, a little over a year now, probably. And the other day I had a conversation with ChatGPT and I said, tell me about me, because I've been using this thing and the things that it spat out and knew about me based on my profile. I think that's what a lot of people aren't taking into account, is like right now it's like, yeah, it doesn't know how I want a guitar to come in or go out. But when it's prompting off you, like when it's been in your studio for 10 years and there's a way that you handle fades, there's a way that you handle these things, it's picking up you and it's learning you. And I think that a lot of people I think we love to think about ourselves that we are unique and we are this and that, and I think that's very human and natural. But I think there's a lot of binary to a lot of things that I do a lot of like really predictable stuff in my everyday life. I'm going to go home every day after work. I'm going to start supper within 20 minutes of the time. You know, like there's so much that's habitual, and like I wonder, you know, how much of our like limitations and expectations for AI are just our ego, that we're like, we are special, we are this, we are that.
I feel like that's the dystopian ending of all this, is just like a AI overlord
that just like looks over all of humanity and goes, "Oh, so who thought you were special?" Huh?
Yeah.
And that's like the ultimate.
Yeah. I've already enrolled 5 versions of you.
Right.
You in orc form.
You were my least perfect version of you. That's what my AI would say.
You may be the original. You are also the fucking worst.
You are the pre-release version.
So, to bring it back to videography, we don't have to spend the whole podcast talking about this, but just one thing I do want to know is just when I got into music, it mainly stemmed. I was a young lad. My brother was babysitting me, and I saw the music video for One Step Closer from Linkin Park came on the TV, and from that moment on, I basically knew I wanted to make like mediocre rock music for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
What was that moment for you? Like, was there something that you saw? Was there that like, is there like that director or like the movie or TV show that like made you think about getting into videos?
Like, what was the inspiration?
What got me into video is just the weirdest thing, and I think it speaks a lot to who I am as a person. Of like, I'll just kind of go with stuff. I was dating a girl before I was married. It's like my first serious long-term relationship, and I think we had been together for 6 or 7 years at this point. And I had bought her an engagement ring, and I was like, you know, this is gonna happen. And you know, I did the country boy thing because I'm from Collinsville, in the middle of nowhere, population like next to zero, and
Boy, you say that from time to time, like from the looking in, like that's got to be just absurd to people, because it's absurd to me.
yeah,
Yeah, you're from Collinsville. We're all from roughly the area, the same type in area.
yeah, but I'm from that area. I'm like from the like, we don't go there, we don't know where it is, we don't know how to get out. Yeah, it's pretty wild out there, but yeah, with being out in Collinsville and being raised Southern, it was like you go ask for the dad's blessing and all this stuff. There's all these, you know, formalities. So I go to her dad, and he's at the time he was like a software engineer. He stayed at home all the time. He was just always home. And I was like, hey man, I've been with your daughter for a long time. Respect you a lot. Just wanted to ask if I have your blessing or whatever. And he literally just looked up at me and he was like, she's sleeping with her manager, like, when you're not here. So I took, yeah, he dude, he's a real one. He actually still, like, up until, I mean, I haven't talked to him in like years, but I definitely talked to him after I got married. Like, so I got married, and I have gone back to him to get copies of Windows keys because like he's still cool with me, because he was like helping me out, he hooked me up. But like, I broke up with her, and when I broke up with her, I sold the engagement ring for what I could get back out of it. And what I could get back out of it was, I want to say it was around $800 or $900, because it wasn't like I went and got like a crazy, I was a kid, you know, and I was working 2 jobs in college. So I sold that, and I went online and I searched for, I think I typed in things that cost this much money, and one of the things that came up was a camera, and I bought a camera. Like, it was literally that impulsive. It was not
Like a predisposition for
it wasn't like, you know, I loved movies or I loved film so much or this, that. And I do love movies and stuff, but I never felt like, it wasn't like it was a calling ever. It was, I saw something that piqued my interest, and then it was like, once I started, I went and took a college class on it to just get my feet wet with all the technical stuff, because I think that was around the time, like YouTube was getting to a point where you could learn almost anything on it, but it still wasn't what it is today, where it's a library of all the things that you need. It was like you could find a tutorial of a guy showing you how to use most cameras, but like now it's like you go in there and you can type in this specific model and like the day it was released, and it's like, yep, we've got a video on that day. It's like, yeah. So that's, I mean,
What was the camera?
it was a Nikon D5100. It was a really small guy, and I bought some extra lenses with it and everything, because nope, I would not recommend it. Not today. It does not hold up, as all digital cameras that were in existence at the time when I started photography are relics now.
That's supposed to be an audio side thing and not the video side, because like all the
Right.
Man, I have at home I bought a microphone when I was a junior in high school, and that's what I first started like rapping on, and it's still the microphone that I use on Discord on my computer.
Which one's that one?
It's a Rode NT1A, and it ain't no wrong with that, dude. It's golden, and I've been awful to it. I've dropped it. I smoked around it like all of its life. Then it's put through the ringer.
And it does sound good still. We talk on it all the time.
Sounds phenomenal, especially like if you patch it in with effects and everything. Like, it'll rock with the best of them. Still, like, it's what like 15 years. No, I'm like 16, 17. No. Yes. Right. Am I high right now? Wait, so
I doubt
it
it.
would have been like 2008. It would have been junior year. Holy
Dude, we're so old. I think about that all the time. I say, like, I'm like, I graduated in 2010. I'm young. And then I'm like, oh, no, I'm not. Not anymore.
I mean, I've had lots of like SM57s, and they come and go. They're like $80 a piece, and they're still, I think, that price. The SM58s and stuff, and those come and go. But like my first mic, like vocal mic, was a CAD, and it was blue, kind of like that blue microphone, and it had this own dedicated unit you had to plug it into that was gave it phantom power.
Right.
And that microphone was incredible. And all of a sudden it just quit working. It just stopped. It had billion tubes in this separate housing. And as soon as it quit working, I was contacting like music store. I'm like, hey, can you fix this? Do you know how to solder? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, we can solder, but I don't know how to fix this. And then I look online, like, do they sell these on eBay? And they're like as much as the mic was originally. I'm just thinking, God damn, like, how am I going to get this thing to fix? And finally I was just like, nobody knows how to fix it. And to replace it is going to cost as much as the whole thing cost. So I just ended up, getting a blue bottle. So, and to be honest, this is a little techie nerdy off for recording, but they make those like Neumann 83 mics. They're like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000.
No shit.
Put that microphone in my studio and put that blue microphone in there, or this one, and I can make it to where you will not hear a difference.
Well, that and like, I don't even know what the difference is, but like, y'all can fight some board on it. Yeah. As far as like what the consumer hears at that point, like your average everyday listener, like they don't fucking know any difference between, like, dude, there's people recording full albums on the fucking iPhones now, and the everyday listener isn't going to be able to tell the difference between that and one of those $20,000 microphones as far as the audio quality out. Like, I don't understand it. It almost feels like some kind of, like when you talk about like modern paintings and modern art in general, how like it's like money embezzlement. It's like money laundering operations. Like, that's the only reason I can make sense of price tags that large. Like, it just feels weird.
And a lot of the pricing that that you run into the difference is like the components. Like, is it wired with gold, or is it, is it nickel, or, the stuff that they use to build it, how it's going to hold up if you drop it, is it going to break?
Or like John said, it's a write-off for the cup.
Yeah, sure. And a lot of but it's so much, and I know you can speak to this, it's so much more different in the camera, like video camera industry, because I can tell a major difference between like a GoPro and a Sony, right?
I understand.
Yeah, shot. I mean, like the way it helps focus. I mean, there's so much more to it than just hearing something.
Yeah, and I think that's super evident in like consumer cameras, especially. But there is kind of an analog to like what you guys are talking about with mics and mic quality and them holding up for years. With photography and video, it's lenses. Lenses are what really lasts, what you really get a good return on investment for, because you can take a quality piece of glass that was made, in the early 2000s and still use it today on a photo setup, and it's going to blow you away. I mean, because it's just rendering an image. It's glass transmitting an image onto a sensor, and your sensor might get better, and it might have faster autofocus or this or that, or better motors, and there's a lot of like quality of life stuff. But that, in my professional capacity, I have a camera that I take when I know that I'm going to be shooting like a 12-hour day. That camera, it doesn't have all these electronics on it and all these aids, and I have to work a little bit harder, but the battery goes longer. It's going to last me a lot longer, and I don't have to do as many battery swaps, but my images are going to be just as good as a new camera. So,
And lighting too.
Yeah, and lighting, and light's light.
Yeah.
So there are things that you can invest in, but I do envy you guys, because I think a lot of your stuff can hold up for like years, and there are many components of like what we're using every day that like they got a 1-year lifespan on them. Like,
Honestly, the biggest problem with audio production, as far as like your price points and shit anymore, is like your software is where you're gonna really be spending most of your money. Is like, because if you want Pro Tools, I don't know if it's the same way, but I know it used to be like you had to buy like a little key thing that was in your computer all the time, and like it locks to your device. And,
Yeah, it's iLock.
and it's still a subscription service too.
Yeah.
Right? Can you buy it outright? And then like,
I think you can still purchase it outright. Don't quote me on that, but
it's probably very expensive.
but right now their main price model is their business model is subscription based.
Yeah, I know like Fruity Loops you can still buy outright, and I think that's how they sell their versions typically. But like I know like anything in the realm of Adobe, you're paying
monthly,
I mean,
yearly.
Adobe is really good if you're going to use a lot of those programs, but if you're just going to use one of those programs,
Yeah.
you're fucking yourself
Yeah.
in your wallet if that's the case.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I wanted it for I got the whole Creative Cloud suite and ended up using just Audition for the most part for a while, and it's like I'm paying $50 a month so I can use this one program like 3 or 4 times a month.
Yeah.
You can have everything.
Yeah. Like it's so weird to like, because I've always worked in all of this stuff at like a hobbyist level, like never really done it professionally, never really done it until more recently, like tried to make any like headway financially with these types of things. So like, I just don't know where people go to learn stuff like that. I mean, I guess you can get like DaVinci as far as like some of your basic video stuff, but like as far as like the audio side, I guess you can go to like Reaper and some of those cheaper options, I guess. But even then, like it's so different from like the professional programs. I don't know.
I can make a comment there. So DaVinci is professional, and I think a lot of people get that wrong, where they think that DaVinci, because it's free, is a lower tier editor, and I'm seeing professionals across the board make the jump to a DaVinci workflow, and that is people are getting tired of Adobe's ecosystem. They're getting tired of updates, breaking things, productivity being slowed down. The main thing that Adobe has on the market for my job is they have collaboration. They've got a lock on collaboration. So if you have to work with a big team, you got to share files. They've got the cloud. It makes things easy. It makes projects easy to share. And I'm in a situation where a lot of times I've got like I typically have an editor make my cuts, and they're putting all my cuts in where I want them. And then what I do, when I explain it to everyone, I'm like a dentist, and I'm working with a hygienist who they're getting this project to 60%, 70% of where it needs to be. And then I come in and I am meeting with the graphic designer, making sure that these things line up with brand. I'm getting animations put in and all this stuff. That's really difficult to do in DaVinci. That's the big difference, but that's going to get easier as time goes on. It has all the functionality. It's just how do you move it from computer to computer? How do you share it with people? How do you collaborate in this space? But my advice, get DaVinci. DaVinci would be 100% where I would start, especially if I was just starting out. I would not go straight in for the Adobe ecosystem, because I don't think it's going to be Adobe in 10 years. I really don't.
Yeah, it seems the public sentiment is kind of shifting away from
really just subscription services as a whole. Well, maybe not as a whole, because that is basically life now. You have to subscribe to everything to exist, but I think people are wanting to cut it out where they can. And when it comes to stuff like that, like a lot of this, like I was saying earlier, like hobby type people that are just learning or like making a fucking YouTube video once a month or something like that, like it just doesn't make sense to go the Adobe route. But to maybe wrap this back around a little bit, and the last point I want to make on videography and stuff before we move to something else, with your YouTube experience and your history with content creation, obviously I know that you've been working on our music video for the handoff for a while now. What about your own like personal projects? Like what comes next out of your own, database here? Because I know like a year or so ago you were doing the moto vlogs. Personally, I was a big fan of those. Those are like, I don't know, you're my friend, so obviously I enjoy hearing you drop. That's why before we bring you on the podcast, I talk to you in Discord all the time. So I can watch a moto vlog of you talking, while you're just showing the fucking magnificent scenery in this area. So like that's very calming, I guess, type content. So I'd like to see stuff like that to come back if that's interested in doing.
But what do you see coming out next for you?
I definitely want to get back to motovlogging. I like motovlogging because it's just something that I do purely for fun. Like when I go do it, I don't even have a plan when I go do it. I literally strap my helmet on and I just say like, I'm going to go ride for 6 hours, and I go make a motovlog. And that was way easier to do before I had a kid. So that it's, and I think we're getting to that stage where my daughter, she's going to start being more independent and being able to go do things with me. So she's a year and 5 months. So we're getting out of that, like that stage where you can't do anything for like a really long time. I'm sure you know.
Becoming a real person.
Yeah. So I'm starting to be able to like get on and play games with my friends. Like I feel like I've been more present like the last 2 months or so. So that's kind of the direction I would like to go back into motovlogging. But I will say like long term, like I want to make a documentary. I don't know what I want to make a documentary about. I had plans up until the end of last year to try to start making something with my grandfather, but he passed away unexpectedly. And I regret that. So that is it's been kind of a kick in the butt for me of like, I really need to, I need to sit down and just think about subject matter that I could shoot around here. Because in order to shoot a documentary, I have to have like constant long-term access, I think, in order to make something impactful. I don't think you can really make a documentary in a month or 2 months. I think there has to be a time element. There has to be some investment, and you kind of have to get some help from people who can pick out, a developing story. And that's a skill set that I don't have. Like I'm a videographer, and I think I'm pretty good at interviewing people. But I would need to find the right people who are interested in helping make that a reality, I think. So yeah, that's kind of the direction that I want to go. What is the next thing for you guys? Because every year it seems like to me like it's either like sometimes it's hot and heavy handoff for you. Sometimes like I'm meeting with you guys and it's Hello Carolina, and sometimes it's just like chilling, hanging out. I don't know where you guys are going next. And you're doing like hip hop all the time too, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is probably more of a me problem that is a them problem, but like I've enmeshed myself in so much shit at this point, and like you always hear people say, like, yeah, it's the whole concept of like jack of all trades, master of none. Like that's a hole I've kind of worked myself into as far as music goes. And I don't know, I spend a lot of time thinking about like what is next, what needs to be focused on, what, if anything, needs to be left behind. Like, am I just wasting time in
Sure.
one area or the other? I don't know. I know with Hello Carolina, I mean, we're kind of just in a weird like in between right now, I guess, between projects. We wrapped up Sleigh Bells around Christmas time, and that's what that's not all that we are going to do moving forward, but I really do enjoy these kind of like thematic, seasonal type things. Like we have a lot of fun with that type of stuff. So like, I think when we first started Hello Carolina, it was okay, let's, Conrad comes to us, he has all these like 80s instrumentals, and he's like, hey, can we like write something funky to this? And that's how it really all begins. And like, honestly, the level of effort was very low at the beginning, if I'm being honest. Like I wasn't trying to write absolute bangers or anything like that. But then like kind of some absolute bangers started like just manifesting themselves. Like,
yeah,
I mean, the first song that I think we finished was She's Coming, and like that's one of my favorite songs
It's amazing.
I've ever been part of.
And also, while we're on the subject, because you're talking about the holiday video and stuff, I have to talk about Tomblin for a minute. Like, so for those of you who don't know, Tomlin has done I think he's done all the other video projects. Is that correct?
All but
He did Madussi, he did
Dude Night. Yeah, he did.
Yep. Yandra did that one. That was good too. That was like a one shot. That was really cool. That was
Kind of art.
interesting, conceptual. But I do want to bring on Tomlin for a minute, because I know Tomlin better than I know Yandra. Tomlin is blowing me away. The things that he is, the speed that he picks up video at. And I've worked with a lot of people over the years, and I actually just worked with Tomlin last weekend. We shot a wedding together. But you guys need to keep making videos with him, because that's going to develop him even more. And I don't think we've seen everything that Tomlin can do yet. And we haven't seen everything that you guys can do yet either. But like every single video that I see him make, I'm like, I want more. I want to see what the next project is, because he has time that I don't have. He has like a brain for the planning side of it that I don't have as well. That is really impressive to me, and it takes a lot of creative energy. I'm more of a let's put all the crap in a bucket and see what comes out, because I'm pretty comfortable with I know what I've got at any moment during a shoot. Like I know what I don't have, what I need more of, but I'm not good at I'm gonna go in and this is every single shot of the video. I like to leave some room for the spirit to move, or whatever that is. Like there's just that's from coming up in a Baptist church, but but I have so much respect for the way that he shoots things, and I think he's way more efficient than me. And I just want to see you guys keep making stuff with him. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, just by itself, the way that I see him like storyboard things, like whenever we're talking about doing a video, is just you are a fucking madman.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'll see him like have just a slew of panels that he's drawn out, and then like to actually see him like capture those in real time is just, it's wild. Like, because he sees what he wants and then he goes for it.
Right.
It's like, I don't know. It's a workflow that I don't think I would come up with myself or be able to maintain.
Yeah.
But yeah, just one more shout out to Tomblin real quick. He just released his first short film. And by short, pretty short, like 5-6 minutes. You can find that on YouTube. I think it's Kelso, find his YouTube.
Let's give Thomas a plug.
Yeah, let's get the plug on that correct, because I don't remember exactly I don't know if it's his name or if it's still St. Thomas. Yeah, but yeah, let's find that real quick. But
Yeah, and while he's looking that up, I'll say like and reiterate that with Hello Carolina, a lot of the mentality. Well, if you look at the content that we have right now, we're sitting on like 120 minutes worth of music, and
when did you start? I mean, it was recently, semi-recently.
I mean, it's only been
4
like
years ago.
3 years or 4 years, and we've got 3 albums.
I think I saw
And a couple, 3 or 4 singles.
we just got an email the other day from DistroKid congratulating us on side B turning 2 years old, I think.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, we're probably like right at 3 years old as a group.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. Well, yeah, I mean,
And 2 hours of music.
Yeah. I mean, so it's music in any capacity. We talk about this, and I think it's the very first podcast about, or no, it was the last one we did, or maybe 2 ago. I don't know. They were all kind of running together, but
yeah,
about the rat race of Spotify and,
Yeah.
and that, and it's just competing with everyone, and it's tough to be heard. And I think a lot of the focus that we'd like to put more on is how do we reach more people with the content that we already have? But we already have so much hit. And I feel like it's all really good music, and maybe like 0.00001% of the people in the world have heard it.
Right.
yeah. And I mean, I think that's part of like why this podcast was born, and like just to produce more content on these short video platforms, because like, I don't know, to kind of maybe tie all this together is like the video and the audio side of things, it's so intertwined anymore. And like to be successful in the audio realm, like you can't just have a music video and then like ride on the radio publicity of it all. That's not how it works anymore. Like if you're going to promote yourself as an independent artist, especially, like you have to assault these shorts platforms, like
Absolutely.
one of them all the time, whether it's your music or just like, you hear about like, this is maybe a comedian based type thing, but where you have these comics and then they all have a podcast where they promote their shows and they just talk to each other and, bring in everybody they can. So it's cross promotion out the wazoo.
Yeah.
But, and I think that's kind of what we're trying to do here to some extent, but like on a smaller scale, obviously, like we're not that connected with, people coming through the area and whatnot. So, and we'll get better at that. Things will develop as time goes on. But my point being is just like, if you're trying to make it in music, like you cannot forget about the video side of everything. And like, you have to do it at least semi-well, it's like anymore, because you're competing with everyone and their mother. TikTok and Instagram, like, but yeah, let's get this out of here real quick. The St. Thomas Films on YouTube, you can go check him out. He's got a few things on there actually that I was unaware of. Do you have your phone? Nah, we won't worry about playing it right now, but go check him out. He's got his first short film on there, and then a few other little short clips, probably just
Yeah, and the short film is titled "Reaching Out."
Yes, Reaching Out short film by St. Thomas Films.
Yeah.
Consume it. But all right, I know we're probably starting to get to the end of our time here, but I want to get to our bread and butter a little bit before we wrap up out of here. You brought up, being a relatively new father before,
Yep.
and I know from our years of knowing each other, and where me and you got closer, I think, is our interest in these conspiracies. Whether it be
Sure.
aliens or like the dead internet theory.
Sure.
JFK, 9/11, whatever.
Yeah. We're just shared existential crises. Like that's what it mainly is.
So I guess if I don't want to keep you for too much longer, but I guess once you became a father, how did the way you consume these conspiracy theories, how you interact with them, how seriously you take them, how did that change? And are you more interested now in them, less interested now? Is it more existential, or, just what is it like being a new parent and being aware of, all of these dark possibilities?
I could see it going either way for most people. I mean, I think that there is a healthy level to all of this stuff. And I'm not the person to decide what that level is. But what I do know for myself as a new dad, the perfect illustration of this is Whitney will tell you while she was pregnant, it was like a thing. So every night her hips would just hurt her so bad. So it was like a thing that I would go back there, and there was these hip stretches I would help her do, all the things that you do to help her feel better and all this stuff. So while I would do those hip stretches on her, I would watch this YouTube channel called The Y Files, and it's just it's AJ, this guy, he's just talking through a conspiracy theory. The fish, he gives the arguments for both sides, and it seems like a pretty balanced presentation of things, and it kind of reels it back in at the end, and that was really nice to watch while that stuff was going on. And then we have the baby, and we come home, and I'm in this mode of this is what I do at night, and I start watching this video, and I'm I literally cannot watch these anymore. It's kind of where I've gotten to, because I can't allow myself to be paralyzed by the world anymore. I have to show hope, for a kid, to see that there's hope in the world, and almost whether I believe it or not is kind of how I feel about it. Because I'm cynical. I've lived a long time, and I've seen, I think our generation is really unique in that, a lot of our heroes are just going down. The people that we've lost, you think about growing up, truly how impactful and a positive force Bill Cosby was in your childhood, of the things that you watch, and you lose that. And that's just one. It's a microcosm in everything that's happened, and you lose so much, and you start to get jaded. But then, I look around and I see just as much really random, crazy good stuff that people are doing, and it's really it's hard to just say damn everything to hell or whatever. I don't have faith in a lot of things. Politics are tough for me. I feel displaced. I feel like there's not a home a lot of times. I feel like I have a hard time trusting a politician.
I think that's becoming a home of its own now, though, because more and more people are becoming that way, I think.
Right. And but I in that same coin, the reverse of that coin is just that I want to raise a kid that asks questions, like I do, at least, because I do appreciate that about myself, of I don't just blindly believe things when I hear them, or if somebody tells me this politician thinks this, I think, why do they want me to think that they think that? Or, it's what is the motive, what is this, question everything, and I think that's valuable. That carries over into my professional life of why is someone sending me this snarky email or this or that? Like it's the little things like that that kind of help you, survive life and all that. But I'm not as consumed as I was before with the negativity. But I think it's purely survival, like, because, you got to put on a happy face sometimes.
I just echo that sentiment. Mine's 6 now. And you do have to really put on like a brave face for your kid. And it's a nasty, nasty world. I mean,
yeah,
I still feel like, I don't know. I'll save it for another day, but I'll just say I completely agree with what you're saying right there. Just like being a parent, it's hard to get locked in. I will say as he gets older, I'm sort of pulling myself back into the little race, and it is interesting, and I'm very engaged with it. But I will say our dynamic, John and I, he's sort of like talking about this stuff, and I'm like, well, it could just be this, and I'm like kind of like, well, but
these aren't UFOs, it's satellite.
yeah, no, but I do buy into, like, there are a lot of topics that are very scary to talk about. But in a sense, though, like, yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. But then as he gets older, I'm kind of pulling myself back.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know.
But I think it's like what I was talking about is like, I think it's a good thing to raise a kid that asks questions. Like, I do think that it's so important to not trust authority in general, like, because there are so many people in the world that are just wielding power in ways to like to manipulate you in some way or hurt you, and you can't just trust people because success doesn't mean that they're good or that they did the right things or that they deserve anything that they have.
Yeah, I think there's got to be a middle ground, I mean, the way that like our parents treated, things of conspiratorial nature and stuff like that, because like I can't speak for y'all. I know my parents were, very much like Christian conservative. Whatever is on Fox News is life. That's what's going on in the world. And like, there's not a whole lot of questions beyond that. And I mean, whether that's, a different news source or whatever, I imagine a lot of people of our parents' generation are generally the same. They trust the officials and everything. And we obviously can't just by large anyway, just trust people. But also, like you're saying, you can't freak your kid out when they get home from school every day. Like,
right.
That's not a healthy way to move through the world, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's a dynamic of balance to say, like, you don't have to question everything, but be very, very careful about everything, especially with AI. I mean, somebody could take my voice right now from this podcast and train a model and make it sound like me. They could even have a video of me and make it move and look real and call my wife or call my son and say, hurry, phone, I need $300. I need your credit, whatever.
8 fingers on one hand.
Yeah, that's true. They still can't get the fucking.
Yeah, they can't get the fingers right.
Yeah, it's always like, yeah. But yeah.
Well, all right. I think that's a, semi-happy note to leave it off on. Maybe we're okay. Maybe we're not.
Just fake like you're happy for your kids. No, I am happy. I'm just scared.
Y'all fake happy for your children, and I'll be out here childless, finding the truth.
Oh, wait.
Oh, we're going to dig more. More digging.
Hey, before we end the podcast, I brought gifts for the wonderful hosts.
You shouldn't have done this.
Yeah. I brought this. This is my wife's orange bag. So before I give these gifts out, I know. I'm going to bring it up. You see it here? So before I give these gifts out, I need to know which one of you likes being outside more.
I love being outside.
Man,
So there's one of these. No, I just thought of something. I know. So I got these 2 gifts, and here's the thing. I think that it's like proper etiquette to give a gift if you're going to do something with someone and you believe in what they're doing. So I brought a gift for that reason. The problem is I have a 1-year-old, So I had this plan in my notebook. I was like, I'm going to get gifts I was going to go get like a little whiskey or something and bring it over here. And at about, I don't know, 5 today, I was like, shit, I didn't get a gift. I completely forgot to get a gift. So I went down in my basement and I found some things that I no longer have a use for. So these are the worst kind of gifts. But so John, for those of you who don't know, in our Discord group, John likes to send pictures of birds on his bird feeder. He's got a video bird feeder. And so I got you, this is a crow call that I used to use when I was hunting. I cleaned off the spit thing with alcohol pads. So that's a crow call. It's very loud. And this is an egg holder for if you ever go camping.
Oh, nice.
So So yeah, that's the best I got for you. So yeah.
One of the best gifts I've got.
Yeah. So you can. This is perfect. I love to go camping, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, you need an egg holder if you're gonna go in.
I thought you were that I've been thinking about training. So
When you said you were going to bring something from the basement, I thought it was going to be like some rabbit ears from like the old, like from an old TV.
No, just actual. These are actual things that I once had a use for that I don't anymore.
3.5 floppy. You can have 30 megabytes of it.
all right. So real quick before we go, your YouTube channel, anything you want to plug?
I really don't have anything to plug. If you want to check out, if I do have motovlogs coming one day, it's Nay Motovlogs. So it's pretty chill. Nothing else.
So vlogs, y'all know what to do. Thank you once again for being here.
Thanks for having me. Have fun.
One more time. Oh yeah.
Way too long. Bad technique.
Hello.